Let's remember, a little more than 2 years ago, we were in the throes of the deepest recession since the Great Depression. Our economy had contracted by 17%. 3 million Canadians had lost their jobs, and our government had just deployed wartime spending to prevent a complete collapse. In the aftermath of 2008, our economy remained sluggish for years. The Depression scarred an entire generation. In June of 2020, looking ahead, with history as your guide, you would have been forgiven for expecting the worst yet again. Instead, we've recovered 117% of the jobs that were lost during the darkest months of the pandemic. And that compares to just 96% in the United States. Instead of persistent unemployment, the unemployment rate is today just 5.1%, a record low. Young people, Indigenous peoples, women, and new Canadians have particularly benefited from the strong job market. As Jean-Francois said, not me, him, this is the strongest recovery in the G7. It's the strongest jobs recovery in the G7, and Canada's real GDP is 1.8% above where it was in those awful first weeks. But if the data is so rosy, if the rebound is so strong, and it really is, why don't we feel very good? Why are Canadians so worried? I think everyone here knows the answer. Inflation. We know the causes. First, the pandemic. The shift in demand from services to goods it triggered, and the resulting supply chain snarls, which I heard about very personally just this morning from Marty Wiener at his family-run hardware store in my neighborhood. China's COVID-0 policies have made the world's supply chain problems worse. And then Vladimir Putin illegally invaded Ukraine, forcing up the price of food and fuel. Here in Canada and around the world, that means higher prices at the checkout counter and higher prices at the gas pump. Now, Canada doesn't have a say in Beijing's public health measures, and we clearly aren't consulted when the Kremlin makes its war plans. I sure am not. No single country can solve these global problems. But what we can do is help Canadians weather this newest storm, just as we've done over these past 2 years, with a plan. Une pénurie de main-d'œuvre, de travailleurs qui ont les bonnes compétences, entrave les économies industrialisées du monde. Le Canada n'y échappe pas. Résorber cette pénurie était parmi les objectifs fondamentaux de notre budget du mois d'avril. Notre plan pour y arriver s'inscrit dans une série de mesures que Janet Yellen, la secrétaire au Trésor des États-Unis, que j'aurai le plaisir d'accueillir au Canada lundi, désigne comme étant l'économie moderne de l'offre. L'économie moderne de l'offre reprend l'idée fondamentale de l'économie de l'offre, à savoir que l'augmentation de l'offre est essentielle à la croissance, mais préconise une approche progressiste, axée sur les personnes. Elle consiste à investir dans le cœur d'une économie prospère, les gens, les Canadiens. Ainsi, nous investissons dans l'immigration, les compétences, les garderies, et le logement. In the budget, we also set out to invest in the workers who are already here. That means ensuring our skilled trades workers can afford to travel to the parts of Canada where their services are desperately needed. It means investing in the skills and the training that workers will need for the good-paying jobs of tomorrow, and supporting union-based apprenticeship training to bring more people into the trades. And it means programs like the Canada Workers Benefit, providing more than $3.6 billion in estimated support this year, which will make life more affordable for our lowest paid and often most essential workers. Taken together, immigration, housing, skills, and childcare are quite clearly social policies, but they're economic policies too. This set of measures will help drive our continued economic growth in a way that fights inflation by increasing the supply of the workers and the homes that we just don't have enough of.